If I ask you why there seems to be such animosity between men and women these days, many of you would likely say it's because of feminism or the patriarchy. But if you asked Carl Jung, he'd give you a completely different response. Because the real conflict isn't happening out there between genders. It's happening right inside our souls. According to Jung, every relationship between men and women begins with a beautiful lie. A lie so intoxicating, it can make a stranger feel like your soulmate. And the very same lie can turn love into hostility. This lie has a name: the anima and the animus. Jung believed every man carries within him a psychic image of the feminine, his anima, and every woman carries within her a psychic image of the masculine, her animus. These inner figures shape what we find attractive, what inspires us, and even irritates us. But when we meet someone new, we often mistake them for these inner images. We don't see them as they are. We see them as a screen for our own projections. It's like holding a puzzle piece that's missing a chunk and believing you finally found the piece that will make you whole. In that first rush of attraction, it can feel perfect, until you realize the edges don't quite fit. So what happens when that projection, the fantasy, shatters? If you've never heard of these words before, they might be running your relationships without you even realizing it. They are not villains in the usual sense, but when you let them run unchecked, they can turn attraction into disappointment, and disappointment into resentment. And that resentment can feel so real that you start to believe it's not your problem, it's everyone's problem. So how does this projection work exactly? And what does your personality have to do with it? First, you must understand that what we call love, fascination, even liking intensely to dislike, is often just a shaking in our own bodies, a call, an awakening of some picture we've had inside us all along. A man might meet a woman and feel an intense, almost mystical pull, and believe it's because she is perfect for him. But is it really her? Or is it the face of his anima shining through her, like a reflection on glass? A woman might meet a man and sense power, safety, inspiration, but it may just be her animus that is stirring. Now, is any of this wrong in itself? Of course not. Projection is a natural part of attraction, yet the more real it feels, the more likely it is that we are mistaking our own inner world for the person standing before us. The danger comes when we stop noticing the difference. Unfortunately, the contemporary world seems determined to make this mindset everlasting. Since we were children, we've been saturated with tales, movies, music, and now an endless stream of images on our screens, all pushing us toward perfected visions of masculinity and femininity. Men are told to find the woman who is beautiful and pure, protective but distant, endlessly supportive, and endlessly adventurous. Women are told to seek a man who is intense but sweet, a driver yet totally accessible, dominant, and yet completely committed. These impossible unions are not real people. They are the glamorously dressed anima and animus. We meet someone, those inner pictures catch fire, and we believe we've discovered the dream. But reality always removes the mask, and then we feel betrayed. Betrayal turns to judgment. Judgment turns to resentment. And here is where it gets even more dangerous. The resentment stops being about the individual and starts being about the entire gender. A man whose idolized vision of women has collapsed may decide that women as a whole are shallow or manipulative. A woman whose projection onto men has shattered may conclude that men are selfish or weak. These sweeping conclusions are not based on reality, but on the pain of having an inner image unfulfilled. Online communities feed this bitterness. They offer endless proof that the other sex is the problem, that your disappointment is not a personal wound, but a universal truth. Jung would say, these are not political movements, but unconscious battles spilling out into the public view. People aren't just arguing with strangers online. They are wrestling with the parts of themselves they have not yet recognized. Now, let's talk about the archetypes that influence all of this. What are these mysterious inner figures, and how do they control us? Archetypes are personalities we acquire long before we are even aware of them. The mother, the father, the lover, the hero, the witch. They're not only mythological characters, they are modes of existence that we carry inside ourselves. And without knowing it, we go looking for them in others. A man may seek out the mother archetype in his partner, expecting solace and unconditional nurturing, and then feel betrayed when she can't or won't provide it. A woman may long for the hero, craving decisiveness and protection, and feeling disillusioned when his weaknesses show. He's not chasing her, he's chasing Aphrodite. She's not falling for him, she's falling for Hercules. These archetypes are powerful, but they're only fragments of a complete human being. Forcing someone into an archetype is like asking one note to stand in for the entire song. Technology has only made this problem more rapid and more widespread. Once, relationships grew through face-to-face interactions, shared experiences, routines. Over time, those revealed the truth about the other person. Now, most of what we know about others is filtered through edited accounts, carefully planned pictures, and curated snapshots. Algorithms are like invisible supervisors of our tastes, showing us only what excites us or flatters us, and then hiding anything that might challenge us or make us uncomfortable. So why does this matter? Because algorithms aren't just shaping who we meet, they're shaping who we think we want. And in that atmosphere, projection isn't just common, it's inescapable. Our illusions are no longer tested by reality. They are reinforced until they harden into a fixed and unmovable worldview. So, what was Jung's response to all of this? It wasn't to tell people who to give up on love, or to lower their expectations. His solution was integration. To incorporate the anima or the animus is to acknowledge the qualities you revere or desire in the other, and begin cultivating them within yourself. A man integrating his anima will no longer chase sensitivity, creativity, emotional depth to the nth degree in women. He'll develop those qualities inside himself. A woman integrating her animus will no longer rely on men to give her confidence, decisiveness, or rational power. She'll step into those traits on her own. This doesn't make relationships obsolete. It makes them freer. Instead of asking the other to complete you, you arrive as a separate, whole individual. able to share without disappearing into the shadows of the other person. Let's bring this home. As a man, before integration, you might endlessly seek a partner who fills that gap, feeling incomplete without her. After integration, you cultivate sensitivity, emotional depth, creativity on your own, and suddenly, you don't need a woman to complete you because you found those parts inside yourself. As a woman, before integration, you might lean on men for confidence, for decisiveness, for strength. After integration, you discover a leader within yourself. It's just like two puzzle pieces. Before integration, each piece is missing a key chunk, and each looks to the other to fill the gap. The pieces are incomplete, clinging tightly together, trying to make a perfect picture by leaning on what the other has. After integration, each piece becomes whole. The missing chunk is filled from within. And when two whole pieces come together, they connect freely, no longer holding on out of necessity, but choosing to share a complete and beautiful picture. That's what integration does. It doesn't cut you off from love. It makes love freer, deeper, and more authentic. I should warn you though, this kind of inner work is not romantic. It is slow, it is uncomfortable, and it asks for a level of honesty that can be unsettling. It means admitting that some of your disappointments in love come from illusions we brought with us, not just from what the other person failed to do. Without integration, the mind will always find reasons to keep the hostility alive, even when there's no real wound to sustain it. Because conflict between men and women is profitable, it's entertaining, it's a spectacle that our culture sells. And the more unaware that we are of the figures moving in our unconscious, the more we mistake them for the living, breathing people in front of us. But every now and then, something shifts. An unguarded conversation. No masks, no archetypes, just two people talking without the pressure to perform. And in that space, gender doesn't vanish, but it stops being a weapon. The pull of projection, though, is hard to resist. That early magic feels addictive. The spark isn't just chemistry, it's the anima or animus lighting up inside, casting a perfect glow on the other person. Letting go of that fantasy can feel like losing the most thrilling part of love, so we chase it again and again and again until we realize that we're stuck in a loop of wild highs followed by crushing lows and no progress at all. Jung saw the anima and animus not as enemies to be defeated, but as guides to the soul. But only when you recognize them as yours. The war between men and women ends the moment you stop fighting the stranger in front of you and face the stranger within.